George Osborne said at the beginning of the budget that he very much wanted Britain to be open for business. We expected a decrease in corporation tax rates, and that's basically what we got. The main corporation tax rates for companies came down from what it's 28% at the moment. From next April, it will reduce down to 27%, thereafter 1% every year until in 2015 it'll be down to 24%. That'll make it one of the lowest rates really in the G20, so it's a very competitive rate, lower than we expected. We thought probably around 25% is where we'd get to, so that's a good result. And also for small companies, the rate should have been going up. It's currently 21%, but we're going to have a rate of 20% next year. In terms of changes to investment in fixed assets, so when I say fixed assets, I'm talking about plant and equipment, could be computer equipment, desks, chairs, furniture. We'd had some tinkering with this by George Osborne's predecessor. So although he introduced a cut in corporation tax rates, what he did then is he took the other hand and he's changed or decreased the capital allowances, which is effectively the tax relief you get on such assets. So we'd had previously an increase in what's called the annual investment allowance, and that basically gives you 100% writing down allowance for your investments in fixed assets. So previously, if you spent up to £100,000 in a year, a company or business would get 100% writing down allowances on that 100,000. Now that's only just come in, but as soon as it come in, an announcement's been made, it's going to be cut down to £25,000. Now there is a bit of lead time here at least. It's not introduced until April 2012, so companies do have some time to get their affairs in order, and certainly if they have some planned capital investment expenditure on the horizon, it really makes sense to bring that forward. What they've also done is once you've satisfied or utilised your full annual investment allowance, you then move on to what's called the general pool, or the main pool allowances. That was previously 20% writing down allowances. That's going to be decreased to 18%. And also we had the special rates pool allowance, another one which kind of captures what they call integral features. So things like lighting, air conditioning, such things in buildings. That's coming down from 10% to 8%. So again, what you're going to see there is a real impact on cash flow for businesses, because what it'll mean is when they make this investment in these assets, it'll take a long, long time before they get their cash back. This was good news. The national insurance holiday was something that had been trailed beforehand, and it was good to see this brought in. What this basically means is for new businesses that's starting up, they can get a national insurance tax holiday effectively. So they won't pay any national insurance on their first 10 employees in their first year of trading. Now this scheme will run for 3 years. It'll start in September this year, although certain qualifying companies that may start in the interim can also qualify for this as well. It'll be £5,000 per employee. So if you've got 10 employees, which is the maximum it can run to, it's a potential £50,000 saving. So it's a real good incentive for businesses. We're expecting probably near 70,000 new businesses to start in the North West over the next 3 years. So they could really, really take advantage of this scheme, which is good news. Certainly in the North West, we're lucky to have here clusters of really innovative companies, so be it digital, creative media, technology, some advanced manufacturing and science companies. I do a lot of work with companies, particularly in relation to R&D tax credits. So where they're doing some innovative work, we can claim tax credits back from the revenue, which is really, really vital for businesses. There's some talk about whether they would withdraw these reliefs as part of a sort of simplification of corporation tax. What they said is that they're going to retain them, R&D tax credits, which is great news. Dyson did a review, James Dyson, fairly recently. He really supported the scheme. He thought it should be enhanced and the actual tax incentive increased. He did say that he would like to see it be honed in more for technology businesses, so less wide-ranging in terms of application. What George Osborne said is that they will review it in the autumn. So expect some changes, but hopefully it'll be changes for the better, certainly for the businesses in the North West. Some bad news is certainly in the North West, again, we have a lot of video games developers here. We are really at the cutting edge, and one thing that had been called for a long time was some sort of video games tax relief or tax break. Certainly Canada has this sort of thing that's really helped build that economy there, build that industry. In the last budget, Alistair Darling announced there would be a consultation on to introduce something similar in the UK. The bad news, unfortunately, that was withdrawn today. So no further investment there potentially, which is really bad news. We were forewarned there would be likely to be a VAT increase. It was not so much a matter of if, it's more a matter of when. The increase was confirmed to go from 17.5%, as it is now the standard rate, up to 20%. That is a significant revenue raiser for the government. You're looking at roughly £4 billion or thereabouts per percentage point increase. So this increase from 17.5% to 20% will raise about £12 billion a year, so £1 billion a month. You can see why they wanted to do this. For most businesses, certainly business-to-business operators, it shouldn't have a significant impact because they can recover the tax on that. Who will really be hit on this? Our business in the North West will be the retailers and hoteliers, those who are really B2C businesses. If, as and when this is introduced, it'll actually be introduced on the 4th of January 2011, so we may well see after that a potential dry up in terms of spending by consumers. But hopefully maybe in the intervening period, certainly in the run-up to Christmas, we may get a Christmas flurry of expenditure, which would be some good news.
The government announced in their coalition agreement that they would be looking to increase capital gains tax close to or similar to income tax levels, and that was widely feared that we would have a capital gains tax rate of 40 or even 50%. The Chancellor announced today that the capital gains tax rate will go up to 28% for higher rate taxpayers. That's an increase from 18%. So whilst not welcome for those higher rate taxpayers, it could have been a lot worse. The other key issue is the annual exemption, which the Liberal Democrats in their election manifesto had promised that they would reduce that down to from 10,000 down to 2,000. That remains unchanged at 10,100. For entrepreneurs who pay tax at 10% on their business gains, the limit of gains on which they pay that 10% has more than doubled to up to £5 million. Obviously very welcome for the entrepreneurial community, but we would have welcomed an extension to that relief to include all employees, so that employees will be paying the same rate of tax as their bosses. Unfortunately, the Chancellor has decided not to extend it at this time. The Liberal Democrats in their pre-election manifesto stated they wanted to create a fairer tax system, and one of the ways they wanted to do that was to increase the personal allowance, which is the amount of income that an individual can receive without paying tax, up to a level of £10,000 from its current level of about £6,500. Clearly that's a very expensive move for the government to make, so they've taken steps towards that by increasing the personal allowance by £1,000 to £7,475, with a stated intention that they will move towards £10,000 when it becomes affordable. The benefit of that is that removes up to 900,000 individuals from the UK tax system, and importantly, the benefit of that increase is restricted to basic rate taxpayers only. For those people who pay tax at higher rates, they will not receive any benefit whatsoever.